Greetings, my name is Sahar Tartak, and I am the president of Great Neck North High School's student organization, our school-wide governing body. I'd like to share a story about my experiences in student government.
As an adult with plenty of years of experience in your pocket, you're aware that the kids haven't developed certain strengths or certain resilience. Not yet. They need time. You grow into these things. So because you're aware of that you teach and you treat the kids with a certain amount of gentleness. And then what you don't do is you don't take advantage of the fact that you're a more resourceful, powerful adult and bulldoze them.
A lot of my activism, in the school, actually just came out of things that happened in student government and in the school that I wasn't expecting to happen. I remember my social studies teacher once introduced the 1619 Project to us, which is this controversial narrative of US history that says we should look at 1619 as the day America was founded, when someone else first brought slaves to the US. And I had said in class, I'm not a fan of this. I don't agree with this perspective, respectfully. And my teacher didn't really entertain it. She just looked at me and said, I don't understand. You don't agree with hearing other people's perspectives? And I said, whoa, this isn't a perspective, it's a thesis. But that you always get blown away when someone says something like that to you, and it's hard to come up with a response, but I managed. During my junior year, my school had wanted to sponsor this political organization called Erase Racism to give a presentation to the school on systemic racism in Long Island. And they had asked for student government to fund the presentation, but I didn't really know what the presentation was going to be about, and they weren't really giving me any information. And this is when I was treasurer, so I needed to sign off on these checks. They got student government members together for a meeting and just berated us for about an hour over Zoom about how our refusal to sponsor this organization was really our refusal to oppose racism. My two student government advisors had also brought in my social studies teacher to join them in this meeting. So it was really intense just having three adults, all of whom had authority over me, and one of whom had control over my grades in my junior year of high school. And I was also, again, as a junior, not used to situations like this. I'm Jewish. They asked me if I would have done the same thing for a Holocaust presentation. So from there, I realized that there were some issues in the school that definitely needed to be hashed out when it came to just intimidation and speech. Later on in the year, a student in the school, a friend of mine actually, showed his dad a Google Slides presentation that was being taught to his English Regents class, which is a mandatory English class in this school for, I think, juniors. Yeah, it's English 11 Regents. And the contents of the presentation were again, very controversial. Some of the things that were said in these slides were that America is as racist today as it was 200 years ago. The students who were watching the presentation had harbored white fragility when it came to race, and that white fragility was actually a function of white solidarity. So white people get upset at being called racist in order to fight for racism, and that we all have internalized racism. And it ended with a pledge to be anti-racist, but that was anti-racist as defined by this controversial slideshow. It had some recommended readings, I think one of which was maybe white fragility. So the contents of that presentation was released to a lot of parents who just were not happy about it. So the parents brought that to the Board of Education. Board of Education offers a public kind of discussion where you as a constituent get to talk to the Board of Education about this issue, that issue. And a lot of parents were going up saying, whoa, I object to this being taught to my kids on a mandatory basis. And also, I didn't know about this being taught to my kids. And also, apparently this was being taught for years and the school administration knew about it. So what's going on here? So this Board of Ed meeting was huge.
Perhaps half the parents of the school district here are immigrants or refugees. Jewish or Asian. Unfortunately, my father learned what white supremacy was. He grew up in Poland, in a part of Poland that's now in the Ukraine. Having their kids being taught that they're white supremacists, it's very incongruous to the local, actual felt experience, the lived experience of the people in this town.
So I found out about this Board of Ed meeting, I think maybe the day of or the day before, and what was going to be happening and what a lot of parents in particular were coming to protest. So I decided that this was really going to be my opportunity to speak up about other things that were happening in the school and really let the rest of the community know that there was a lot going on, that the school administration had basically been, sponsoring this mandated learning of controversial ideas to the kids and was also sponsoring intimidation to get there. So I wrote up a speech basically detailing what happened with student government and also just included this question of really this presentation, the very controversial Google Slides presentation, it's been being taught for years. How could the people in charge here have not known about this, and how could they not have been so transparent, It was a problem, it's an issue that our school was enforcing ideologies with an iron fist, not even rather than a gentle hand.
I'd also like to note that I personally fear serious academic repercussions from this speech due to the aforementioned political environment of our school. Speaking from personal experience, this is no discussion, this is not critical thinking, this is intimidation and division. Please don't allow this to be promoted. Thank you.
Anyone can stand up for what they believe in and stand up for what's right. It sounds corny, but it's really important. You don't need to be the most articulate, you don't need to be president of the debate team or the most confident. I know that at that first meeting in student government, I was terrified. And that's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel that way. It's important to push through. It's important to do the right thing because it will affect the people around you, right? There's a good chance, if we continue being a part of this fight, if FAIR continues helping us with this school, that my school gets a lot better about this, and maybe this stuff doesn't get taught, and maybe our school administrators don't bring in kids to their office to intimidate them. When I participated in activism like this, I was protecting other students from going through the same things I went through, and there's an element of kindness. You'll feel good about yourself. You'll feel good about doing that because you know that you're helping other people, and that's a really nice and important thing to do.
I was just speaking to a teacher at this school a few days ago, and this teacher told me something that surprised me a little bit because I had assumed that this particular community was robust enough and that the kids were robust enough that if they were being told that deep down they're all racist and lousy, that it would just run off of them like water off a duck's back. And this teacher at this school, she told me that she's been approached after class by kids who appreciate this teacher, and those kids have told her that they feel like dirt, that they just feel ugly about themselves from the stuff that they're learning in social studies. I guess I was naive. I thought that most people, let's say, are like I am, that they hear bad stuff directed toward them and they just say, nonsense. But no, again, these are kids. You don't teach kids that they're lousy and just somehow that's going to redeem the world and make it less racist. That's what this teacher told me, very much in confidence.
So listen to the people around you, listen to what they have to say. Try to push through the fear. It'll work out in the end. It really does, especially when you do the right thing. They can't hurt you as much as you think they can.